Welcome everybody to this meetup. This is one of, well, this is actually the last, no, it's not, it's almost the last meetup of this academic year. Creative HE and the ICC, the Imaginative Curriculum Center, are working together and have been offering these this academic year. And we are delighted to have with us today Dr. Ben Chong, who is an associate professor in electronic and electrical engineering in the school at the University of Leeds. I met Ben some time ago. I can't remember how many years ago. It must be 2 years now, perhaps, Ben, isn't it?
2 or 3, coming to 3 years, maybe. Coming to
Is
3
it?
years,
Yes.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
met.
summer 20, yeah.
Yeah, we met for the first time at a conference at the University of Leeds, where we were both speaking about the use of portfolios, Pepperpart, isn't it? It was a Pepperpart conference, and I found his talk and work inspirational and approached him afterwards. And since then, we stayed in touch, and we have done also some work together with a focus on poetry, isn't it, Ben?
Yes.
Which led to an open access publication and the focus on reflection. So Ben, beyond his role as an associate professor in the School of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, is also the university lead, isn't it, on reflection?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes,
we
yes.
will hear Ben in a tiny bit. I'll just say a few introductory words beyond introducing Ben, which I have done. First of all, we are going to finish about 10 minutes to 3, to have that in mind. So we are not going to overrun, but we are going to say goodbye a little bit earlier. Please use the chat here to introduce yourselves and make connections with each other. We have seen that this is really, really valuable. I think we have at least Charlotte here from Creative HE. So maybe we could invite Charlotte very briefly to say hello.
Hello everyone, I'm Charlotte Stevens and I'm from the University of Warwick. I've been involved with Creative HE, I think I got involved around this time of the pandemic, and I've got an awful lot out of engaging in this and meeting different colleagues and enjoying the creative space.
Great, thank you so much. And as we said, we have started working together. The new center hasn't launched yet, but we have been very active so far, and working with Creative HE is one of the activities that I have been doing. There are many opportunities to be involved, to come along and share your work, like Ben is doing today. So please reach out if that is of interest. I know that some of you have done that already, and we have enjoyed it and found it invaluable. I just said a bit earlier, Nathan was with us not so long ago. So if you have an idea and would like to share something, please let us know. We are putting the program together now for the next academic year. If you would like to publish an article, etc. On the screen here you see a book. It's an open living book called Imagine, a link to the center, and we're doing that with Creative HE in the form of an alphabet of ideas. So the link to it is on the screen. I think the QR code should also work. And again, if that is of interest, please submit something. After this this meetup and the next one on the 8th of May, as you can see here, we are organizing a jam that sort of has become a tradition for some years now. Our very first one was on campus when I was still working at Manchester Met, but after the pandemic, well, since the pandemic, we have moved it online, and it has actually worked quite well. Because we managed to engage a wider range of people and make it perhaps more inclusive. Okay, so I think we are ready for Ben, and I'll hand over to you. And I'm delighted that you are with us again today.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Chrissy. So first of all, let me just directly get to the topic that I'm going to share with you, or the insights I'm going to share with you. So hopefully you've learned something from it, and you can always do something, do your own practice. But let me just share this. I'm not sure whether you know about that. This is 1995, back to my teenage years anyway. So I listened to this song quite a lot anyway when I was in mid-teens anyway. And you know, I don't know whether you know about this Alanis Morissette anyway. So I wouldn't go through the detail, but this chorus that I always remember, that we all live and we all learn together all the time. Anyway, so the topic that I'm going to talk about here is a simple way of thinking about learning from that comes from this plug and play concept. I think you're aware of that, or you might be familiar with this term, plug and play. And we especially in engineering, we always experience that all the time, plug and play. So of course I'm not going to talk about too much from the engineering point of view, but just let me give you a little bit of context in especially in my area in electronic engineering. Plug and play actually means components or concepts. So it's not just physical thing, but it can be concept, can be principles that we can reapply, we adopt it, we applied it, we put it in somewhere else, we disconnect it, we connect it together, and also sometimes we have to reconfigure it. And over the last few years, I actually have developed, just to give you an idea anyway. So I developed an electronic circuit where students can actually use the circuit, and they can actually use it for something else, for example, for projects, and I also use it for my other teaching labs as well. So as you know, I think some of you might know about electronic circuit, we have a lot of soldering to do, but when students use this, the thing that I have developed, the plug and play component, I call it Lego block anyway. But when students use that, they do not have to do the soldering, they do not have to redevelop it from scratch, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, because it's safe to play, to work with, there is no fear to make mistake. Now, in learning, plug and play, what does it mean by plug and play? It's actually, to me, it means it is an environment where learners can try new things, swap ideas, swap elements, and more importantly, they do not have the fear to fail. Because as you know, that when we fail to learn something, we will not go for it anymore. So in other words, we can actually continue to move forward. So that is the beauty of that, to have this plug and play based learning. So actually what I have done in my area actually, so and I hope you can actually get inspired and do that in your own context. So learning can be done modular and can be done in a way that student and learners can do it safely. And later, what is more important, they can feel more confident and then take more initiative. So it is not just for the sake of learning, but it's for the sake of building confidence and giving them chance to take the initiative, because from that, plug and play elements, they can actually move on to more complicated issues, for example. And then at the same time, they can explore more deeply, because from my experience with the electronic learning, that the student actually from there, they can actually do more. Like I can tell you the experience of my students, they can actually do as much as undergraduate research. And actually I have almost every year I have students who actually submitted paper or publication. They presented something in the undergraduate research conference. So just because they have this plug and play, so they can actually go very far. So so of course, how do we do that anyway? So so in this workshop, I give you some ideas. I know that we all come from different areas. I come from engineering. Some of you come from another discipline and faculties, and maybe not from academic point of view. But I'm going to give you an exercise or some kind of a fun sessions for you to work with. So I'm going to focus on something that we all should have, I believe. So we all have hobbies. Okay, all right. So we have hobbies, and hobbies are very, very good example of an experience where we need to mix skills, we need to use tools, we need to follow processes, and sometimes we have to adapt our way of doing things in order to get it work. And then sometimes we might not be skillful in certain things, like when we do certain activities, it takes time for us to develop ourselves, and sometimes we also make mistakes. So I'm going to use this so I'm not going to focus on any topics but hobbies, just your hobbies. And also I'm not going to talk about teaching, so just hobbies here. But I also
Ben,
because yeah.
can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm really curious about this, and I'm also wondering, well, first of all, what you think about my question, and what everybody else thinks. You just said when we engage in our hobbies, we need to use tools. I think need is the word you used, if I remember correctly. What about if it's not a hobby? I know you said we are going to focus on hobbies. Do you think there is a difference or in willingness to use different tools in things that we do in our personal life, and maybe we are more resistant in our professional life, or not?
I think it depends on if I can answer your question correctly, because the tools some hobbies, it doesn't need, you don't have to use tools, because it depends on how you see the hobby or activity. Let's forget about hobby and activity. So you could participate in the activity with, in my opinion, you don't have to use tools, but it could be that tools might help you to enjoy the activity more, or it's really, really personal preference. So for example, which I'm going to use, is one of my hobbies is hiking. So I don't use walking poles until recently. But I can enjoy hiking without using walking poles. Maybe Sam might want to say something about hiking, but
Yes.
yeah. So I think it's all back to your own personal preference, whether you need to use the tools or not.
Yeah, for
Does it
example,
make
when you're knitting, you can't really knit without
Yeah, well,
anything, even
yes,
if you don't have the
true,
real sort of knitting needles. You could just take some
true.
pencils or something. Again,
Yes, there's
tools.
that it could be that the tools doesn't have to be a specialized tools. It can be the tools that you actually make your own, and make it work. So yeah, so it all depends on how you define tools.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so but I think it's also it's worth to say that at this point, it's April already. Maybe it's a good time to think whether we have hobbies, or we have things to do. Maybe you want to change, you want to do something, you want to plan something for your summer holiday. Perhaps this is a time to do that. So hopefully
Good
I give you
idea.
a chance to explore this opportunity. So let me just briefly tell you what you need to do in this workshop, before we move on to the Miro board. The Miro board link is on the chat. I hope you all can access to it. So first of all, I would like you to choose two of your many hobbies that you might have. And then I would like you to analyze what kind of learning elements you need for the two hobbies, in the two hobbies. And then I would like you to identify the Lego block that binds these two hobbies. And it could be from that you might be enlightened to say, all right, actually I have another hobby. I can create my new hobby. I can create new activities. So who knows, you want to explore that over the summer break. Okay. So shall we go to this Miro board by clicking on the link, or you could click on the link on the chat. I'm going to share my screen, okay, on the plug and play Miro board. So I
Yeah,
hope you all
explain
can
us a
see
little
that.
bit what you want us to do.
Yeah, I will do that when I have shared it. So first of all, can you all see my Mirrorbot?
Yes.
And can you all get into the Mirrorbot by going through the link? Yep. So so first of all, I would like to give, I know maybe some of you have not used Mirrorbot before. So if you go to the left-hand side panel, navigation panel, so there is on the top, there is a blue arrow. I hope you can see the same thing as mine here. So the blue arrow, so if it's blue, that means you can select the items, and then you select items and then you can enter the text. Please do not move any of the things, but you can select items and enter the text. But if you would like to move the Mirrorbot, let's say if I want to, so if you want to move the Mirrorbot, you've got to click on that arrow, so that is toggle into black color, then you can actually move the whole board around. Or if you want to minimize and maximize, there's a magnifier, zoom in and zoom out at the right, bottom right, so you can actually zoom in and zoom out and navigate it. Is everyone clear about that? Anyway, before I move on.
Yeah, I think the zooming in is always useful, isn't it? Because sometimes if you have too much, you can't see anything on the screen.
Yeah. Okay, now, so if everybody, sorry, Chrissy, let me know if there are queries about the Mirrorbot, because I cannot see the chat at the same time.
No, fine, all good at the moment.
Okay,
We have
so
we have a question from Nathan, but I think we can come back to that, Nathan. Yeah.
Okay, fine, no problem. So what I want you to do is, if you focus on there are two activities I want you to do right now. First of all, I want you to identify what your hobbies are. So I have done mine, okay? So all you have to do is either write it down, or you can make use of emoji that I have included here, okay? So for mine is hiking, so I put my boots. And the second hobby is cooking. Okay, so can I give you like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes? So since we run out of a little bit of time, so can we give you 5 minutes to so you can use any post-it color. So try to choose anything that is
Yes. So Ben,
your favorite color.
is the idea that everybody picks one sticky note or one set on the left and right? Why are there two together, like pairs?
So there are two. So if you look at mine, okay, so there are two different with the arrow connecting arrow. So there are two hobbies. So pick a pair of them. So if you like yellow color, so pick two yellow colors, and then next to each other, list out, or use the emoji to define your hobby.
Yeah, what's on the right-hand side? Because there you have creativity, basic ingredients. How does this relate to the one on the left?
So which one? The gray box?
Where you have navigation, boots, lots of practices, and then you have creativity. How does this relate to the one on the left?
Yeah, then there's a second activity. So second activity, yeah.
So we are looking only on the left-hand side at the moment.
How do you mean by left-hand side? Sorry.
Because you have two yellow stickers there.
Yeah.
At the top.
So please ignore the text in my yellow text. Okay, for now. All right. Just pick two hobbies.
Two hobbies. So each one will put it into one of the sticky notes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's fine.
It could be knitting. So if Chrissy, if you're knitting, you want to pick knitting. So you could pick knitting and another
something else.
One
yes.
post-it,
Okay, that's
and then
fine.
something else. Yeah.
Okay. So one hobby per sticker. Yes, that's fine.
Yes. Yeah. So
how much time do we have?
A few minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Andrea has a problem with the board.
All right.
I get in, but it looks to email and can click. She can't click on anything. I think you may need to log in.
I'm logged in and I can see you moving around, but I can't. It doesn't let me copy or anything.
Have you tried in a different browser, maybe, huh?
Yeah,
Ben?
can you try with different browser?
I'll try that.
Which one? Which one, Ben, would be better?
Well, I'm going to use Edge instead of Chrome, so that helps.
Yeah.
I'm in Chrome and it seems to work for me. Let us know, Andrea, how it's going.
Yeah, it's slowly trying to do something.
Ben?
Yes.
I'm unable to copy an emoji. Could you just talk me through that?
Yeah, I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you do is if you click on the emoji, so make sure it is in blue arrow, okay? And then click on the emoji and then right click and then you can copy and paste. Hang on, where's the paste? Copy as image. Hang on. Or you can just Control C, Control V. Yes, that's that. Yeah. So if you click and then Control C, Control V, click on any of the emoji. Let's say if I want to click on the camera, so
You can
click on
duplicate is the easier one, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't letting me paste, but I can do Control
C,
C and
Control V. Yeah. Sorry.
that works.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Control
That's
C,
okay.
Control V. Yeah, I should have said that anyway. Control C, Control.
Yes, or if you're on the image, if you get the three dots, if you see the three dots, then you get the menu, and there is one option is duplicate. That seems to work for me at least.
For those who would like to explore more, you can go to the plus and then sticker emoji. Then there will be hundreds of emojis you can choose. It's the same as the one that in your phone or in your computer. Yeah. Okay. So I think can you quickly decide what two hobbies you want to showcase? If you have so many.
We have a radio presenter here. It's amazing. Reviewing gigs. Dancing.
So, by the way, these are all anonymous, so we do not accept my own because I declare the first one are mine. So we do not know whose is whose. We know Chrissy is knitting.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. So while you decide the second hobby that you want to showcase, so let me just talk a little bit about second activity. So second activity is, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you all can see. So second activity is I would like you to list the skills. Now this is the one that I already included in mine. Okay. So I would like you to list the skills and tools required. So for me, hiking, I think I need navigation. Cooking, I need creativity. And then also list, I also need boots. Okay, I cannot walk without boots anyway. I need basic ingredients for my cooking. And then what activities do they involve? And then state how you learn the activities. So for example, hiking, I would need practices. Okay, for those who chose hiking, you might need some other things. Anyway, might be different from me. But cooking, for me, I need to test as I go. So that is what I identify as to practice, how I practice cooking. So yeah, so can I give you maybe 10 minutes to do that? I know it's a bit short, but 10 minutes.
Maybe shorter even. 10 minutes, quite a long time, isn't it, online?
Well, okay, 7 minutes maybe.
Indra, what do you think? 5 minutes?
5 minutes, okay, 5 minutes. Yes, you should not analyze it too long because it's something that you're comfortable with.
Yes, exactly. So
5
let's
minutes
say
then,
5
yeah.
minutes, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we don't. Well, it's not there's no correct or wrong answers. So
yes, I would like to hear then later how you have used something like that in your teaching also, and what colleagues are thinking, how they could use it in theirs.
yes, yeah, 5 minutes. So let's say 2:35 or 34. Okay. So yeah, so this I think this is quite good. As you go on, let me just give you some idea. Why am I doing this anyway? So sometimes your hobbies are, you know, our hobbies are very it's quite natural for us to do. We never even consider analyzing it actually, but a lot of times when we do our work in our teaching and all that, we do it spontaneously. Like if it's our research for 20 over the last 20 years, we never thought about that. But I think it's good to pause and see, okay, what actually involved, okay, and what, you know, yes, at the end it's about scaffolding anyway, but you know, you need to give yourself a time to a chance to see how, what, you know, what is it in what does it involve. I know it's a bit strange for you to say, oh, hobbies, why do I need to analyze my hobbies?
No, I think it's really useful to do that.
Yeah.
Because then you can see how some of the things you put there for your hobbies relate to you professionally as an educator maybe, but also researcher or learner or student.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is quite and then I tend to use mirror board because I can, you know, I can see everything. You can do it if you want to do it by yourself, you know, not mirror board, not online. You can do it on the table and put a lot of post-it sticky notes with lots of colors. There you go. Okay. I think we have 2 more minutes. I think we have a lot of them now. For those who are okay. Anybody want to share? I know most of you have that already. Anybody want to share? Please feel free to share your hobbies.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to hear somebody. Yes, who
Yeah,
would like to share?
Who want to share? Should I volunteer?
Should we ask somebody, or do we have somebody who's volunteering? It's working, Andrea. That's good. Can't do icons. Forget about the icons. Do the rest.
No, forget about icons. Icons is
Yes.
it's just beautifying the cake.
Yes.
Anybody who wants to share?
Who's our radio presenter?
That's me. I was going to
Charlotte,
offer to
is
share.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I've spent many years in radio, in community radio.
Really?
Yeah. This is a really interesting exercise for me because the reviewing side of things I've taken on recently, and I've done radio for a long time, and it's been quite interesting. I thought they were quite related, and they are in some ways, but also it's been useful to unpick the different skills that are required for each. Yeah, and
Yes.
both do require knowledge and practice and experience. So yeah, it's been a useful exercise. I feel like I could spend more time on it.
That's good
So,
anyway.
yeah.
Okay. Now, Sham, that's good to point out. This is very good because I'm going to give you another third dimension now. So let me go to Chrissy. Can I go to the next activity?
Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, if everybody's
Yeah,
happy.
Yeah, I think it's because I think they are all filled up now, all the 2 positives anyway. Mostly, I think. Okay. All right. So let me just go to the next activities. Now, the next activity is a bit of thinking, but maybe not anyway. So I would like you to now you chose these 2 hobbies. I hope you do it randomly without much thought why they are related or how they are related, because that is my intention anyway. So I want you to find what the overlap is between these 2 hobbies. Okay. And then identify any new activities from this overlap and create a new one. Now, this is a bit, you got to use creativity to do it now. Yeah. So what mine is actually, I prepared it in advance. Okay. So I'm going to
Lucky
quickly.
you.
Look, I'm going to copy and paste to mine now. So now I'm going to show to you what kind of overlap I have. I think I have. So my both activities require experimentation. Okay. And then it requires observation. I need to use I use my sight, my hearing, my taste, my touch to do cooking as well as hiking. Okay. Now then I have identified that I could do foraging, which I never done before. I could do camping, which I never done before. I've done hiking, but not camping. So now this would be something that I might want to consider in future. Now, moving on, I put the header there, Lego block. Could this be the Lego block that binds these hobbies together? So I give you, well, it is for me to answer, of course, but then once you identify that, you can see that whether, what I mean by Lego block is that when I do camping, when I do more foraging, would I like to cook more? Would I like to go hiking more? So that is the question. Anyway, another 5 minutes. Is it okay?
Okay, so Ben, we are just filling out
Sorry,
this gray
the gray
area
box.
where it says
Yeah.
Lego block in making.
Yeah. So under the Lego block in making, next to your own two
Yes.
hobbies that you identify and yeah. So can you try to you know, just say about the overlaps, okay?
Okay.
What
What we think these two hobbies have in common.
Yeah, yeah. I know they both can be very different, but there's a whole point. I want you to pick two random hobbies, and then you identify the gap, not the gaps, sorry, the overlaps. Okay.
Okay, let's have a look.
And then identify, if you can, identify a new hobby or a new activity that you would like to do out of these overlaps that you've done. You have
And
identified.
we write that also in the same
Yes,
sticky note.
in the
yes.
gray box. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I mean, this process is more or less like you know, if you have two different areas, two different activities, how are you going to identify something that actually connect these two activities together? And then later on, you can work on this, the third dimension, whether that third dimension can be used to, say, for example, scaffold students' learning, or can be used to create a new activities for students to engage with so that they can do the other two activities. It could be you already have the hobby, the third hobby that you might not have selected just now. So you might want to say, this is my third hobby actually related to the other two. It doesn't have to be hobby. It could be something, I don't know, it could be something, an activity, all right? I don't know, it's about writing an open book. Writing a journal, maybe, or as usual, if you want to share, please share. Or if you already, you know, get some new ideas, what you want to do. So for me, I really have not done foraging, picking wild mushrooms and then wild fruits, whatever, and then camping. This is something that I always want to do, but I never try to do it. So
Well, I've did that tango dancing and wargaming have in
Yes.
common that you need someone else, that you need to practice, that you need to know the rules of each of them to do them properly, and that you need to learn or try to interpret the intention of the other person and act accordingly. Because like in tango, you need to know what your partner wants to do and follow that and Like if you're gaming, you need to know what the other players are trying to do, and you try to either block them or get your way through it. I'm not so sure about the connection, but I put debating maybe, because you need someone else, you need to understand the intentions, you need to have some specific like rules. But I don't think I want to do debating though.
It's okay. To be honest, this is an exercise because I'm going to I'm using it actually. First of all, I'm using firstly I use it as an analogy, and I'm going to connect it to what the message that I'm going to deliver. But it's good to know what potentially you can do to connect them together. Yeah. So likewise for me, I might not do foraging, but this is what I think I could do if I want to put them together.
It's really interesting, though, Andrea, what you have written there about practice other people. I can see the link between the two.
Yeah, but again, I have not thought about it, never really. So it's quite good, because then I realized actually
Yes.
you both are doing similar things. I was quite curious.
Yes.
Okay.
And to be honest, how I got to dancing was because I was doing kickboxing before, and I realized there is a lot of similarities.
Yes, indeed. That
When you're
kickboxing.
sparring. Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Anyway,
This is remix theory, Nathan says. Yes. Nathan, do you want to say something briefly before Ben moves on?
Yeah, obviously everybody comes at these things with like different perspectives. What our
Yes.
own histories are like informs like how we're experiencing this new learning. We're building on top of that. And I was kind of saying at the point, I was like, I'm enthusiastic, so I engage with the exercise, but I wasn't quite sure where we were going with it. But I get now that it's almost like sort of identifying the tension between the two hobbies, the thing that sort of makes them different, and then trying to resolve that tension.
Yes.
And something new coming out of that tension, which is almost, sort of from a remix point of view, you would take two disparate ideas or two disparate genres and sort of crash them together, remix them together, and something new and unique and different comes out of the other side. And I was kind of left at this point that perhaps the more disparate the genres are, or the more different the genres are from each other, or from an interdisciplinary point of view, the more different that two disciplines are from each other, that something of an original contribution, a creative contribution can come out of the process of mashing those things together and trying to find a resolution in that contradiction, if you like. So I was like, I was kind of getting into that. Then I was trying to mash together. I mean, there were some very bizarre ideas coming out of it, but mashing together, say, hiking, which is quite a physical sort of thing, to sort of remixing or creating electronic music, which is quite a sedentary thing. But are there lessons that I can learn from the process of going on a hike, where you have a start point and an end point, you have hard bits and going up hills and easier bits when you're sort of on the flat. You have to get fuel that's on the way, like get a drink or something like that. You've got conversation where you're checking out ideas with your friends and things like that. Could I incorporate some of those bits of the genre, if you like, into some of the problems that I have with the electronic music making, which you hit mental blocks? Like as a writer, you hit a mental block and you're trying to be inspired from things, and should I be checking out more with other people? Well, what do you think of this creation so far, or this composition so far, in the same way when I do with my friends walking and things. So it's from a social work, I'll shut up in a sec, but from a social work sort of idea, it's kind of like taking strengths from one area of our life and teleporting them across to another area of our life where we might be having difficulties, and finding some sort of resolution in the middle. Yeah, that's what I was sort of thinking along as we were completing that.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you. Yes.
I think you hit the points, a lot of points that I wanted to deliver. It is true when you have two hobbies, different hobbies. So let me just quickly, I'm just conscious about time. Can I just quickly share now what is the takeaway message from these activities? You can continue engage with the Miro board, but then I just want to quickly tell you share my thought, what especially the plug and play, back to the plug and play that I've developed, or how I develop it rather than what I develop it anyway. So actually, sorry, let me just go back to the slides. I need to go to, so basically, yes, indeed. The two different elements. So a lot of times, as I said, I tried to explain earlier, we sometimes we are so comfortable with the two elements, or not just two, maybe there are more, 5, 6 elements or whatever that you have, and sometimes we never thought about how these two come together. I mean, how they, like, let's say two different skills, two different sets of skills. How do you bring them together so that it's a bit like scaffolding, but then you look at the scaffolding in a more holistic manner rather than just scaffolding with one skill and a scaffolding with another skill, but then put it together. But the plug and play thing is, can you identify another thing that can actually lead to these two hobbies? Because if you can do that, that is your plug and play element to me. Okay, so it's not about just scaffolding, but at the end, it's also about making you more confident, more curious about things. So that is the idea. Now let me just quickly go to the next few slides anyway. So yeah, so that is what I said about in classroom. So if you can do it with hobbies, can you do it with your classrooms? So for example, can you consider this in terms of skills, in some of the tools, in terms of processes, the overlaps? What I'm talking about is the overlap. Can you think about all these overlaps anyway? And then finally, I think I said about identify the Lego block. So if you can find the overlaps, in your student education or in education or in learning, can you create it or form it as a Lego block? Just now it was just a Lego block in making, but now can you formalize it as a Lego block? For me, it will be electronic circuit component, but for you, I don't know, it could be a piece of paper or a template or a process. I know other discipline, not necessarily, it may not be tangible, maybe something virtual or abstract, whatever. Can you think about, can you make the Lego block yourself? And then can you rethink your learning process? Okay, what can they learn through this Lego block, and what assessment you can design or redesign? And then at the end, can you make your degree structure to be more flexible? So just to close, I think I hit the the time anyway. Anyway, I have 2 minutes for question and answers. So yeah. So these are I learned it from this particular person, 10 tips for cultivating creativity. So you imagine, creative, play, share, reflect, and imagine. So all these, more plug and play thing, it give learners, not just learners, yourself as well, to see how you can create, how you can play safely. So in fact, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, I'm going to go to the lab with my student, and then we're going to work with the circuit components. So again, he's doing that now at the moment in the lab, but today I'm busy, I cannot help him to do it. But tomorrow I will, accompany my student to do the playing with the plug and play element that he has at the moment. Okay, thank you. Anyway,
Great.
Chrissy. Yeah,
Yes,
great.
thank you so much. That was really insightful. I think in immersing us into this activity was really useful. And we all have hobbies or things we do. We may not call them hobbies, we may do them routinely. But I think the connections that we can make, to what we do as educators, what our students are doing, how we can help our students connect with each other also, and help us to connect with our students potentially through an activity like this is extremely invaluable. But also, as Nathan said, to connect the unconnectable, the things maybe that we think are far too distant, but that's where the innovation comes from. That's where the surprises come from. That's where the breakthroughs come from, when you connect the things that you would normally, or routinely not connect. So if we can show, and we all did, do that routinely, what stops us in doing that in our professional lives? What stops us from taking risks? What stops us from being a bit more adventurous also, and take these risks? And as you said, Ben, a bit earlier, also make mistakes, but learn from these and move forward. So thank you so much for helping us think. We hope that the session was useful for everybody and gave you a little seed, something that you can plant maybe into your practice. And I think apply also without a lot of effort, with a lot of tools, to go back to the tools potentially, isn't it? So thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing
No
that
problem. Yes.
with us, Ben, and thank you so much everybody for joining us here today. I'm going to stop the recording, and
Okay, thank you. Yeah.